A lot of you guys message me on Instagram asking me what exactly are macros, why should we care about counting them, and how they impact your fitness journey. And so if you've been going to the gym and working out really hard and not seeing any results, a lot of times it's because you're not consuming the right balance of nutrients. And so through macros, we can actually change that and reach our fitness goals. So what exactly are macros? Well, macros stands for macronutrients, and those are the carbs.
Is butter a carb?
Fat and protein.
Protein rocks.
That combine together to make up the foods that we eat. So you can actually calculate the amount of calories in your foods using your macros and following this formula. So you guys, it's actually pretty simple. Carbs, fat, and protein, fat, and carbs. Macros ain't that hard. I can write a rap song about it. But you can see from the formula that these 3 macros equals your calories. So if we know the macros, we can figure out the calories. And if we know the calories, we can break down the macros. And calories is just the unit of measure that we use to calculate energy. So you pretty much burn calories doing everything from lifting weights to lifting pasta into your mouth. So when you say, I burned X amount of calories, you're really talking about how much energy you burn doing that activity. So take note of the formula because you'll be seeing it come back later in this video. So I'm going to do a little tutorial here, and I'm going to go to www.iifym.com. And on iifym.com, once it loads, it looks like you need to pay for a lot of stuff on this site, and there's a lot of places to click. You're not really sure where to go. There's a calculate your macros button and a start here button, but instead we're going to use some of the free features on the site. So we're going to go up here to macro calculator, and we're going to choose the first one, iifym calculator. And so we are going to start taking a look here at number 1, calculate your total daily energy expenditure. And I want you guys to remember that because that's abbreviated TDEE, and it's going to come back again later at the end of this tutorial, but it's actually very important. And your total daily energy expenditure is basically how many calories you burn per day doing your daily activities. And so we're going to input some information about ourselves, about our body here, and I'm going to go ahead and input some sample information, and of course your information is going to be way different than mine. So go ahead and put in your information as accurately as you can. Here you're going to put in your current weight and your goal weight. So if your goals are to bulk, then you can put more weight in here, and if you're trying to lose weight, you can put in less. For me, I'm doing maintenance, so my goal weight is going to be the same as my weight. Next, you're going to come down here, and it's sort of a crossroads. What do you choose? And I always recommend, unless you know your exact percentage of body fat, you should use the total body weight formula, because if you do the lean mass formula, it requires you to enter that percentage of body fat here, and you never really want to guess because you want to be as accurate as possible. So if you know it, great, and you can enter it right there. And if not, let's come back over here and choose total body weight formula. Next, you want to describe your daily activities, and so it's very straightforward, and you can read through these and figure out which one works best for you. And then you're going to come down here and you're going to put your exercise, how many days a week you exercise and how long. And remember to be very accurate here, because you want to basically put in what you're doing right now, not what you intend to do later or what you plan to do next month. You want to make this very accurate for like your current body. So put in exactly what you're doing right now. Same with intensity of exercise. So I always try to err on the more conservative side. So for example, on mine, most of my workouts are pretty moderate, and occasionally I do something very difficult or intense, but I'm still going to choose the moderate. Okay, so now we come down here and it says set your goal. So remember when we talked about TDEE before? If you come down here and you choose TDEE, that's going to be your maintenance calories, or what you're going to want to consume to stay about the same. And so weight loss and bulking is all kind of based on the TDEE, because if you want to lose weight, you're going to consume less calories than your TDEE. So you can come over here and you can choose one of the ones that they have, or you can choose your own. If you want to do a different percentage, you can take that percentage from your TDEE and then subtract it from your TDEE, and so you don't have to use the set percentages that they give you, or you can if you want to. So you can come over here, and if you're interested in bulking and gaining weight and adding muscle, you can choose one of those. So once you figure out what you want to do and you choose your calories goals, write that down, because we're going to use those calories goals for the next step. And if you come down here and you click to get your macros, it's going to want to get your information and get you to input all this stuff. And so rather than give them our information and have them do that, we're going to go ahead and use whatever number you got down here to calculate your ratios in the next step. Guess what, you guys? The formula is back whether we like it or not, just like a Justin Bieber remix. But now that we know our target calories, we're going to do the macro breakdown kind of like doing some math. So in the example, I determined that the target calories we're going to use for me is 1821. So write down your calories there. And the reason why I like to start with protein first is because a lot of trainers will tell you it's basically the most essential macro for building and maintaining lean muscle. So we want to make sure that we're eating enough protein every day. So a good range of how much protein you should eat varies between 0.8 to 1.2 grams per pound of body weight per day. So if you're heavy lifting or bodybuilding, I would stay closer to the higher side. And if you just want to stay balanced, build lean muscle, and stay fit, err on the middle to lower side. So for me, I'm going to do 130 pounds times 0.8, which gives me 104 grams of protein per day. So I'm going to write that down, and you write down what you got, and let's move on to fat. Fat is up next because it's the densest macro, and I always try to incorporate avocado, nuts, and healthy oils into my diet every day. The formula for fat is 0.3 to 0.7 grams per pound of body weight per day. So for me, I'm 130 pounds times 0.5 equals 65 grams of fat per day. I decided to go pretty middle of the road in the middle for fat, and so that's my number that I'm going to write down so we can move it on to carbs. So earlier we figured out our total target calories, but we didn't know any of our macro targets. So now we know 2, which is protein and fat, so now we can go ahead and calculate the carbs. I'm going to use the 104 grams for protein and 65 grams for fat that I got from my example. So if you actually use the formula and you multiply protein times 4 and fat times 9, you get the amount of calories you'll be eating for each of those macros. So in my example, I'm eating 416 calories from protein and 585 calories from fat. So now we just have to go ahead and figure out the carbs. So for example, for me, I know my target calories is 1821. So I'm going to take my 1821, subtract my calories from protein, which is 416, subtract the 585 calories from fat, and now I have 820 calories left over for carbs. So if you look at the formula, the amount of carbs in grams gets multiplied times 4 to get the amount of calories, right? So we're going to do the opposite. So I'm going to take my carbs calories, divide it by 4, and now I have the amount of grams per day of carbs. Take a look here and you can see that these are the macros that I've got. And I've also included the percentage breakdown for each of them over here to the right. They're about my starting point, so everyone is a little bit different. And so from here, you can go ahead and start with your macros that you got and adjust based on how your body responds to them. And you might want to try out these macros for a little bit and then see how you feel. And the best way to know is just kind of by knowing your own body, by gauging how you feel and how it fits in with your workouts and your everyday. For example, I noticed that my metabolism is really high, and so I have trouble building muscle, I have trouble maintaining and keeping this goal weight that I want. So I increase the amount of carbs in my diet. So currently my breakdown is about 50% carbs, 23% protein, and 27% fat. And so if you notice you might be opposite of me and you have trouble losing weight, you can reduce your amount of carbs and increase protein and healthy fat and see how that works out for you. And for a lot of people, when they figure out their macros, the starting macros are perfect for them and they don't have to adjust. And so the great thing about macros is that you can definitely tailor them to fit your workout, your body, your goals, and they can really help you in your fitness journey. Macros seem totally intimidating and complicated, but once you start doing it and once you figure out how to calculate those targets and start putting the macros into the foods that you eat, it's totally easy. And so for the next video, I'm going to show you guys how I meal prep within my macros and how I make sure that it stays within my goals. And I'm going to give you a little bit more insight into what I do every day for food. So be sure to like and subscribe if you like this video, because there's going to be so many more to come and I can't wait to share more of my fitness journey with you. Thanks so much again for watching my video, and I can't wait to see you next time.